Hey everybody, it is Calxiyn and Hunter here, and if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure that you guys check out the ways to support us on Patreon, and there will be a little explanation on how you guys can do that at the end of every video, but also this video anyways. So we are talking about the RWBY manga. So if you guys don't know, the RWBY manga had a bunch of announcements sort of this week, so we're gonna kind of go through them. The Weiss manga is coming out in August. It's actually coming out a couple weeks from now. It's the Manga Anthology, so that was cool. We already knew about that. The Blake one is coming out in October, November. I think they said November, but like just in case, if they said October, you guys didn't hear it.
So not to call you out, but
yeah.
Have you read the RWBY one yet?
No.
Because it's
I'm gonna read
right
it so we can get.
It's,
I'm gonna read it when we get the other one. So we can do both of them
now. Well, can I be honest with you about?
Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. So, then the Yang Anthology is coming out in 2019 to be decided. So. Those are really cool because there's people in Japan that do the art and they're big RWBY fans in the RWBY community, and they sort of get to tell their own stories with the anthology. They talked about that at the panel. So that is for those announcements. Those are the anthology announcements. And there's a separate manga series? Chain?
Yes.
There's a separate manga series, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. First, Hunter, would you like to complain about the anthologies?
It just wasn't very good.
Why, though?
Well, I mean, the artwork was good, but the stories always felt kind of shallow. And
I mean, they only have a limited number of time, right? Like,
yeah, I understand
they all have very crunched in chapters.
I understand that it's very crunched. It's just
I don't think it's supposed to be some deep tale. I think it's just supposed to be comic strips.
But here's the thing. Sometimes they do try to get deep, but they never quite go deep enough, and then the next one is like a Pop Team Epic. Like parody one.
I think they are supposed to be more like comic strips where they're just
I understand that it's meant to be like short and serialized and all that. It's just that like after reading the first one, I'm like, I'm okay if I don't read another one of those.
I haven't read it, so after I read it,
you're defending something you haven't read yet.
I could feel totally different than Hunter. I don't know, but I heard other people like it, so.
People are sheep.
Anyway, in other news though, there is the RWBY manga sort of series that was by
Shiro.
Anyway, I'm just gonna show you guys a picture, but yeah, you're
that
close.
the one that had came out earlier that I did read? That was
so these are gonna be it's the same sort of in the manga chain. So these are gonna be developed in Japan and English simultaneously. No, but they're the same people that produce this.
No, that's a different artist.
I know it's a different artist, but they're the same. It's the same as
it's same. It's Viz.
Before it's Viz, right? Basically, this is supposed to be sort of like an extension of the... Do we have the Shiro one here?
No, but the Shiro one...
Here.
Okay, yeah, it is. It's under there.
So I'm going to show you guys this really quickly.
Yeah, that's the one both of us read.
So...
But the thing with that Shiro one is that it also kind of...
So this is going to be sort of like... This is the first one, and then these other two are going to be sort of in extensions of this. So these are like more canon than the anthologies.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
So the anthologies, they did say are canon. They do have details from the canon, like Gavin being gay.
They were canon until they weren't.
Yeah, and so these are like more canon as well. So the ones that we're talking about today that are not the anthologies are basically sort of continuations of this. So I'm going to put the image back on the screen.
Although they said they were going to serialize Volume 1 and 2, and that did kind of serialize aspects of it, but then it added
just Volume 1.
Well, kind of, but then they also don't add a lot of stuff that was in Volume 1. Like, they don't have any dock scene. They really don't talk about the...
Well, it's early Volume 1, that one. But this is adapting Volumes 1 and 2,
so
and this is a different artist.
It's a weird gray area of canon, almost.
Well, this is supposed to be embellishing on things that we've already seen. Miles and Carrie talked about that. This is going to be basically an extension of the show. Okay. So this is going to be very canon.
Okay, because I'm kind of excited for that one, because that was okay, but a part of me wanted it to, like, follow more of the show and be less, weird. Like it was anyways. I
don't think that was too weird, though.
No, it wasn't, but it was doing its best when it stuck more to the show, and it was kind of expanding, like you said, they said. Mm-hmm. But when it was trying to do its own thing, like when it had, other than that scene where Penny has a rocket launcher.
That was awesome!
Jetpack, that was fucking hilarious. But that whole scene with them fighting that Hydra, it wasn't great. And there was some stuff involving Cardin early on that was...
Cardin fought RWBY.
Yes. I mean, which was an okay
yeah.
scene, I guess. I don't know. It just, yeah. So I'm hoping that...
Maybe you're just biased towards the show.
Why am I... Maybe I'm biased towards the show, but I've also been quite mean to RWBY in the past. I think we all have.
Yeah.
So...
Anyway, so those are basically all the manga announcements. Now, here's something I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think because of the Team Coffee book, the manga is going to focus more on the RWBY girls and adapting what we already have, while the YA books are going to be expanding later?
That seems to be what they're doing with the YA will be the expanded universe.
I think it would be cool to have manga that are Team Coffee and like all that stuff, but it seems like these are for the girls. The YA books are extended universe things. And here's the other thing I'm going to ask, though. Right? With all of these extended universe things... Do you think they're going to do a series spin-off? Or that after RWBY is complete, they're going to go back and adapt, say, the Team Coffee YA book and adapt the adventures in the YA book? Or do flashbacks or whatever.
I mean, it's kind of like a cash cow for Rooster Teeth.
Well, we don't have any other Rooster Teeth show that sets precedent for this.
Of doing that.
Of doing a spin-off series.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that because they already
Red
have...
vs. Blue has kind of spin-offy in the past just because it's gone to some really weird places.
But they haven't done like a Red vs. Blue like official spin-off, right?
No,
not
really.
How about those PSA things? They showed one during the Mega panel and I was super confused, but it was funny.
Yeah, they've been doing those for a very long time.
So,
They had one about the fucking, like in 2008, about voting when it was Barack Obama versus fucking Dick Cheney. Not Dick Cheney, John McCain. So, like, they've been doing those for a minute.
Here's my idea.
Yeah.
They're gonna adapt the manga to embellish more on volumes 1 and 2. They're gonna have the YA books. After RWBY's done, the YA books are gonna get an adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe not even after RWBY's done.
It depends on how, like, Genlock goes for them, because if RWBY is, like, their cash cow, I would understand them wanting to milk it as much as possible. They can make that
They can
Marvel.
milk both at the same time.
But then, or then they may have a little more, like, I don't know, restraint and be like, hey, the first one was good, let's just leave good enough alone, and maybe wait a little while till they redo it. Because maybe Genlock is good, and maybe they get more talent.
I just wondered if they would have a season that stops the RWBY girls and goes on somebody else's adventure. Like, say, after we get into Vacuo, or whatever, after a Vacuo season, it's still a Vacuo season, but with Team Coffee and the adventures that were in the YA book. Like, that's just kind of what I'm thinking about. And so that's why I think that the manga is going to stick in canon territory, if that makes sense. Like, with the RWBY girls before.
Do you ever imagine RWBY getting big enough that they would do a live action?
Somebody asked about that at a panel. They really like the fan live action stuff that their lawyers will tell you that they haven't watched. And so it interests them, obviously.
Whoops. I didn't even know there was fan live action stuff.
No, I think so. There's some recent ones.
I've seen, like, cosplay.
Oh, we have to do the video about the visual novel.
Yes,
so here's the other thing I want to talk about.
Good.
On your phone?
Court. No, not my phone, on my laptop.
Okay, so here's the other thing I want to talk about. We have a manga, we have a YA series.
Yes.
A mix between a manga and a young adult and a video game is basically a visual novel.
Ostensibly, yes.
So,
like, what it would be great if they did, like, official.
Do you think they'd ever do an official RWBY dating simulator?
Maybe, and have it be like because Rose Court, the one that just got released recently, had a bit of hype around it. That is also like an AU.
We're gonna play that.
It can be gamed, which is great. Yeah, I know. I already downloaded. Fuck, am I playing it with you, or how are we doing this?
We're gonna play it together.
Okay.
At least a little bit of it, just to sort of give some thoughts. Maybe not the whole thing. It depends. But yeah, so kind of when we've been doing these videos, like in our merch video, we talked about extended merch. In the coffee video, we talked about other possible books, right? So for this video, I'm thinking more.
A live-action play.
So, there's a lot of ways that they could expand, and I think visual novel makes the most sense after manga and young adult book. To me, I don't know. And I really like visual novels. So that's just
You do. I've not gotten into them. I've only ever gotten one into
visual novel or a dating simulator.
Because it's kind of both. Because you can, like, romance every character.
So dating simulators and visual novels are a bit different. So dating simulators are sort of like Honey Pop, where you're trying to intentionally impress the girl, whereas visual novels are more like Seduce Me, where you pick options that do get you with a guy, but you're not dating simulators. It has a story that just happens to involve romantic options, basically. Sort of. And obviously
what
there are
would
romance
Dream
visual
Daddy
novels.
be?
I think that's a dating simulator, because it focuses only on getting guys. Seduce Me falls into a weird place because it has the guy options, but it also is very heavy on the story, and also you can not go with a guy, and you can rule the world. So it's like... Whoops! Anyway, so I think that would be cool for them to have a RWBY dating sim, because that's the most logical place to go.
You want your gay representation?
Or
here's your gay representation!
Comic books, which are sort of like manga, but not really. Little different. Right.
Throw that one out there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw
out those ideas. At this point, they've done every variety of mass media, so unless they want to do a fucking puppet show, like... Which, honestly,
Musical?
I would buy sock puppet RWBY characters. RWBY, Rooster Teeth, get on
that. Should have went in the merch video. A
Really
little Mercury Cinder hand puppet for sale at the Rooster Teeth store.
That's pretty great.
That one's free. I'll take that one. Anyway, I think we're done here. So, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, remember that you guys should support us on Patreon, and you guys can sort of see the information for that on screen in the intro. So, bye guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, you guys should consider being patrons over on Patreon. Our $10 patrons get 3 video tickets, which means they can pick 3 video topics for us to do a month. Our $5 patrons get early access to basically everything that we put out a week in advance, early access, in fact. And our $1 patrons get access to our Discord server. They get to participate in polls and all of that sort of fun stuff. So I hope that you guys will consider becoming a patron, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.